Hello and welcome to another episode of Historically Marked. So what happened in the year 1993? Well, if you're from Missouri, Illinois, or any river state that touches the Mississippi or Missouri River, then you'd answer right away, the Great Flood of 1993. And I am standing pretty much right where the highest flood levels of 1993 were, and in the history of the city of St. Louis. So I'm going to go ahead and take you to that plaque, and I am on the stairs, and in the background is the St. Louis Arch. I am at Gateway Arch National Park, so here we go. So right in the middle of these steps, it's really hard to see, and here is that plaque, and here's what it says. Okay, August 1st, 1993, the bottom of the plaque indicates the high water mark of the Great Flood of 1993. On this date, the Mississippi River reached 49.58 feet, the highest level ever recorded in the city of St. Louis. So basically, yes, the highest was literally right where I'm touching it. And I don't know when those plaques were installed, and the reason I say plural is because there's an identical one just right over there at this level. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to go over there right now. This one pretty much has the same text. So yeah, it's kind of cool that they're literally on the same exact step that I'm standing on. And again, that is the north leg of the arch, and that of course is St. Louis skyline. And I gotta take you a little look on this view down here. A lot of tourists, I mean some locals too, they like to hang out here on these steps after they visit the Gateway Arch and the park. That's Poplar Street Bridge. That of course is the mighty Mississippi. And speaking of the Mississippi, I might as well just go ahead and talk about the 1993 flood that a lot of people will not forget. So it is one of the most significant and damaging natural disasters ever to hit the United States. Damages totaled about 15 billion. 50 people passed away, hundreds of levees failed, and thousands of people were evacuated, some of them for months. The flood was so unusual in the magnitude of the crests, the number of record crests, the large area impacted, and the length of the time the flood was an issue. Now, I've talked to some locals, and they've said, well, you know, the flood pretty much started in March of 1993, and the soil never dried up, and it kept moving. And this is from a resident from Grafton. I don't want to say his name for privacy purposes, but many people lost their homes, tens of thousands that is. And like I said, it was one of the most costliest disasters ever. And St. Louis was one of the big cities, if not the biggest city, to be affected by it. And I remember it. I mean, I wasn't affected by it, but I remember seeing high waters. And high waters do occur here and there, here in St. Louis. I mean, I can show you a recent picture 2 years ago of Laclede's Landing when it was underwater. And another thing to show you is along the St. Louis riverfront. This is Leonore Sullivan Drive, and of course the helicopter tours are right there, but I thought this sign was really interesting. Okay, and St. Louis has flooded again in many other years, like July 21st, 1951, up to 40.28 feet. Down here, 37.79 feet. April 14th, 1979. Wow, April. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Historically Marked. So, I thought I'd share a couple plaques I saw, well they were both identical, of what happened that particular day in August of 1993. So, Great Flood of 93 should never be forgotten and should be shared as a lesson for how we prepare ourselves in a disaster like that. Alright, I am Jason in downtown St. Louis in front of the Gateway Arch and Gateway Arch National Park. Sign off.